They said you were the best in the Parsec.
Welcome to
Parsec Passion,
a podcast about Disney Plus's The Mandalorian. My name's Bubba, and with me as always, hey, I didn't know sidekicks were allowed to talk. It's Catfish. Catfish, how you doing?
Well, I'm a little concerned because I feel like my client just sounded like Pauly Shore, and so I'm definitely dating myself by even remembering that. I am excited. We've got so much Star Wars content coming up. I love this episode. I'm sad because it's the end of the season. We're not going to have any Star Wars content for a while. And also, I'm concerned about where we go in season 3. So there's a lot going on in my head today. Bubba, what about you? How you feeling?
Well, Catfish.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about it. This episode filled with double S's.
Double S's?
Shocking surprises. I think some of those shocking surprises were great. Some of them were, and some of them might have been bad shocking surprises. We'll cover it. Which episode are we talking about, listeners? We're talking about the season 2 finale, the season 2 final episode, episode 8 of season 2, chapter 16, The Rescue. Catfish, let's get to it. What is your rating out of 10 for this, The Rescue?
Bubba, for such a big episode, I really struggled with what nomenclature to give the double B. So the double the double rating. I don't even know what the double B is.
Sure.
I was gonna go with double M.
Double M?
Yeah, mouthy Moffs.
Oh.
You know, when he's like, let me just talk to you for a really long time. And then I thought maybe the right answer is double S's.
Double S's?
Yeah, sidekick spats.
Oh.
But then I thought, you know, when someone's only wearing a shirt and not pants, it's called either double D.
Double D.
Yeah, Donald Duck in it, or double P.
Double P?
Porky Pig in it.
But I thought the double P was pantless Pooh Bear.
That also works as well. But so I decided to go with this double D, and it's not when you wear a shirt but no pants. It's when you can't stop taking off your helmet. And that is double D, Din Djarin it. So I'm going to give this 9 double Ds out of 10.
9 out of 10. That is actually somehow, if we listen to math, a bit down from last week. 9 out of 10 still high. Why'd you go so high?
I loved everything. I thought it was exciting. There were a couple things that I thought was weird. And I'm afraid of where this sets us up in the future, as I said. But I just thought, in general, this is exciting. I kind of knew that we were going to get a Deus Ex Jedi-na. A couple minutes before it happened, I turned to Ms. Catfish. I'm like, yep, we're going to have a Jedi come.
Did you know which Jedi was going to come?
Bubba, I'm going to call myself out here. Because I thought to myself, as the elevator dinged and they were waiting, and it was like, 4th floor, ass whippings. I feel like I should have known based on the color of the lightsaber, but I did not know.
Love it.
So what about you, Bubba? Sorry, I've rattled on long enough. What's your rating for this episode?
Well, Catfish, I am like you. I was very torn on what to call this, but I've decided to also give this 9 what I like to call double Bs out of 10.
Oh, yeah, the double... Wait, the Bubba blabbering? Bubba blubbering, because he's so sad that it's over.
You got... Close.
Okay, what is it?
Bib blubber. Bib Fortuna has gained a lot of weight. When he was sitting on that throne there in the end, in the sneak preview after credit scene of the Book of Boba Fett. Like me, he's put on the COVID-19 pounds because he's been sitting around Jabba's palace not doing anything. 9 out of 10. I was really torn because, listeners, I'm going to get this right to the top. Digital face loop, where he says when he's talking and you see his mouth moving, but the top part of his face and head aren't moving at all. That digital dude, double D, it didn't necessarily work for me. I don't think it's up to snuff yet. I know the technology will advance and it'll get there. It was distracting for me. Digital distracting, double D's as well.
I will say this, that was the most taciturn I've ever seen him in his entirety of the Star Wars oeuvre. for Luke
right.
Skywalker.
He's found the right balance in his pot brownies. So, but anyway, so do I rate it based on that effect or based on this incredible, it felt like 3 minutes worth of, oh my God, is that Luke? Is that Luke? That's got to be Luke. Wait, that's got to be Luke. Oh my God, that's got to be Luke. It's Luke. Wait a minute, that's R2-D2. I was so thrilled. I was going crazy. I couldn't believe it. I always thought, well, they might try it, but then the back of my head said, oh, they wouldn't try it. They wouldn't do it. They're doing it. And I'm talking about shocking surprises. Catfish, Grogu, Double G.
Yeah, Grogu gone.
Grogu is gone. That's exactly right. Is the show over? It was so shocking. It was so crazy. It was also very emotional seeing Grogu's little 3-fingered hand touching the helmet and then touching Din's face. Wow, big shocks. Am I going to let some nitpicks, and I have a handful throughout the episode, am I going to let that ruin my enjoyment? No, I'll mention them here in the podcast, but I'm still going to stick with that holy smokes. What a shocking final episode. 9 out of 10 for me. Can't wait to talk about it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, we'll have to, it'll be interesting when we get into it. This is sort of a preview for something that I am so interested to talk about later is I've been concerned about this show touching other parts of the Star Wars universe.
Oh, yeah.
When so much has happened after this. If they're going to bring Grogu into the larger world and having him be trained by Luke is definitely doing that, then begs the question, like, where the heck Grogu been?
Well, how about this?
Mm-hmm.
Mando didn't give Grogu that little silver ball that Grogu loved playing. When they reunite, and listeners, I'm calling it right now, somehow, some way, they're going to reunite. He's going to pull out that silver ball. And it's going to make all of us bawl with tears. I mean, it's going to be incredible.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll get to the end of, when we get to the end, we could do the speculation on what's next for sure.
Well, talking about that catfish, we are going to go through every bit of this episode. We're going to have listener feedback, and we're trying to gather it all up. We love that we're getting so much. We're going to have our wonderful musical breakdown from our buddy Double M.
Double M?
Matt Murdich, who looks at the score and talks about it in ways too intelligent for me to comprehend. Then we're going to have our games where we have our grief beef battles. We have our good griefs. We have our Grogu moments and our Mandalicious lines. We're going to hear from Nephew Paul. But in that period, right after we do our musical analysis, we're going to have our contest giveaway. We've been talking about this all Parsec Passion podcast season long, where listeners, we've been asking you to mail us a screenshot of your subscription to the Parsec Passion podcast. It could be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. However you subscribe, we asked you to just grab a screenshot and send it to us. We've compiled all your names. We've put them in a hat. And we're going to be drawing a handful of names. This is, listeners, I want to say this right at the top. So after Matt's music section, we're going to draw our winners. But the way it's going to work is we're only going to draw like 6 names. The grand prize, the 10-inch Mando, Grogu, Funko Pop figure, that's going to somebody. But all the other names we draw, we're going to offer you. Do you want this or do you want that? Listeners, if you don't hear your name drawn in these 6 prize drawings, still send us your mailing information, because when a listener whose name is drawn says, oh, I want prize A and maybe not prize B or C, we're going to offer up B and C to you. So we're going to try to give as many prizes away as we can to all of you who've been so kind to subscribe to the Parsec Passion podcast. Woo!
Holy cow. This sounds like a full-time job. We need a prize wrangler, Bubba.
Internships are now paid, so we won't be taking on interns.
I thought we were going to say that anybody who wants to be a prize wrangler will get the same exact amount of money that we're getting.
So you will lose money.
Exactly.
Listeners, even if your name isn't drawn, even if you haven't sent us a screenshot of a subscription to the Parsec Passion podcast, I want you to know that thank you so much for joining us on this crazy journey of Mandalorian Season 2. We are just a couple friends talking about this really great, really fun Star Wars show, and by joining us, you're officially one of our friends. And as our friend, that means we're going to call you up when we need help to move. If somebody needs to pick me up at the airport, you're on the call.
I love it.
Why don't we dive in right now to the news? I just want to say that listeners, as the time we're recording this is Saturday, December 19th, 2020. A little bit more than 36 hours after the episode was published on Disney Plus. We still have not had an official confirmation from Disney if the Book of Boba Fett will be a unique movie, a unique series, or that'll be the spin, the subheading for The Mandalorian Season 3. I'm pretty sure by the time you hear this on Monday, December 21st, there'll be an answer, but right now we don't know. And why not continue to talk to us? You can reach out to us. We're part of Double P Media, Double P Podcasts. You can find us on social media at Double PHQ. That's the word double, the single letter P, then the letters HQ for headquarters. At Double PHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/Double PHQ. YouTube, search for us, Double P Media, Double P Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you. Do you want this Book of Boba Fett to be a one-off movie like they were talking about making so many years ago? Do you want it to be its own show? Do you want it to be part of The Mandalorian Season 3? Write to us at Double PHQ and let us know.
Well, the only clue that we have right now, Bubba, is that they say December 2021.
Correct.
And isn't that right around the time when Season 3 of The Mandalorian is supposed to come out?
Catfish, people are getting into semantics. Kathleen Kennedy at the Disney investor meeting, shareholders meeting, she said the Mandalorian story continues Christmas of 2021. That's what she said in the meeting. But what's interesting is she didn't even call it The Mandalorian. She just said the story continues in December 2021. So, interesting.
Oh, okay. All right. I see that. You could definitely parse that out as saying this is still the Mandalorian story.
Mm-hmm.
And in this episode, we got the beginning of a Mandalorian joke, which I thought was great.
Oh, man. Do you want to get to that joke now, or should we wait for it? Because it's got a couple of punchlines, that joke.
Okay. I'm so happy because I texted you the beginning of the joke, and so you've come up with a couple of come up with a couple of punchlines for it.
No, I came up with one. I thought you came up with your own.
Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry. Okay, it's all for you then. All right, so here's the beginning of the joke.
All right.
Two Mandalorians walk into a bar.
The first Mandalorian turns to the other Mandalorian and says, "You're not a real Mandalorian." Because that's what they say to each other. This is like when you go to Mandalorian church. You don't say, "Oh, hello, amen, bless you," Allah. They go, "No, you're not a real Mandalorian."
This just goes to show.
You like pineapple on your pizza? You're not a real Mandalorian.
No matter where you are in the pecking order of life, you will always find someone to be superior to.
Love it. Hell yeah.
So our boy Din Djarin, superior to the helmet-off Mandalorians. The helmet-off Mandalorians feel superiority and look down on Boba Fett.
Well, how about this, Catfish? Speaking of helmets, before the season, we didn't really talk about it on the podcast, but before the season, there were some YouTube conspiracy theories going around. So do you want to give us the breakdown on those?
It wasn't just this year. There was a lot of talk last year that our boy who plays Din Djarin was not happy having his helmet on all the time. Now, I suspected it didn't really bother him that much last year because a lot of the time, and we even get some reports that some people who directed episodes of The Mandalorian never saw him once.
Yeah, they never saw Pedro Pascal. He's like, he's not here. He's on Broadway.
Yeah, so he was either rehearsing for King Lear or portraying King Lear on Broadway. And I guess, you could understand maybe wanting to be seen more if it weren't for the fact that, he's busy. I mean, he's doing a lot of stuff. So for him as an actor, great gig. He's getting paid a lot of money. He could probably takes them between 7 days and 2 weeks to do an episode, probably more like 2 weeks to do an episode. But if you're just doing the voiceover, you could do an episode in a day or maybe even 5-6 hours. It's not even a full day, and he's still going to get paid the same amount. So I was always a little bit skeptical of this. And then it came out even more this year that he might quit the show because of the helmet.
What ridiculousness. Stop listening to these BS rumors.
I can't help it. I get texted straight to my phone this ridiculousness.
No, brother. Listen, hold on. What did Pedro Pascal say?
Pedro Pascal said he is actually in favor of the helmet not coming off, almost to the point where it sounded like he was saying maybe that he thought the helmet came off a little bit too much this year. We loved seeing him take off the helmet because he needed to do it to go to the only place in the galaxy where he could find this information. It's so important that this ATM machine was in the cafeteria. He took his helmet off so that he could find Grogu. And I thought that was very important. The only thing about it, though, is that it really took away some of the power of him taking it off this episode because they were back to back. I mean, that's the way I felt anyway. I mean, that whole thing was powerful, but I felt like it would have been a lot more powerful if he hadn't taken it off at all this year. What do you think?
I think the fact that the episodes were back to back, for some people, it actually didn't for me. I still understood how important that was. But for some people, I understand that the fact that in one episode, oh my goodness, he took his helmet off. And then in the very next episode, it's like, oh my goodness, he took his helmet off. If you could have planned out this season, so maybe Grogu got taken earlier, and maybe at the episode 5, maybe he has to take off his helmet, and then we have 3 more weeks of those of us viewing this in real time before it happens. How that could be more powerful.
It's a powerful moment, but it just is like we just saw this, and now I've been helmet off the whole time, and now I'm bored. He takes his helmet off whenever. For some strange reason, it seems like even though he's a helmet on kind of guy, that he shaves indiscriminately and has more of a mustache than anything else. I also wondered if he couldn't be like, give me a moment and like take Grogu down the hall so that only Grogu saw his face.
Well, hold on. Do you think he was going to walk past that Jedi who had just sliced through all those Dark Troopers? No, I don't think so. I think he's like, yes, sir. Here you go.
Well, yeah. Maybe just go to the corner. Hold on one second.
Catfish, let's dive in to this episode since we're talking about it. And before we even get to our points, I want to bring up an opinion that isn't ours, but I've seen out there, and I want to acknowledge it. Both you and I went 9 out of 10. We're very high on this episode, very high on season 2. Heck, I should say right now that our buddy W. Axel Foley, who runs the Daily DVR podcast, that's a great podcast. They cover a bunch of shows, including The Bachelor with their hilarious Batch It Up spin on The Bachelor and Bachelorette. And they're doing a top 10. And when I was looking at all the shows I watched this year, I thought, The Mandalorian probably is, for me, the best show of the year. And so a lot of people liked it. A lot of people loved this final episode. But there is this other opinion out there, and I'm going to read you an article from Polygon.com from an author named Matt Patches. I'm just going to read you a couple of things. The title of the article is The Mandalorian Season 2's Spectacular Finale Also Betrays Our Faves. It says, New Star Wars once again succumbs to old Star Wars. There's no pocket space in the universe where characters' lives can play out without being a part of the grander narrative. Star Wars is still the Skywalker saga for some reason. So some people didn't get that thrill about seeing Luke Skywalker at the end, and they thought, oh my goodness, we can't have an inch of this galaxy without the Skywalker saga. Now, of course, Skywalker saga really wasn't in Rogue One. You could imply, yes, Leia and Vader were there, but it really wasn't the focus of the story in any way. They weren't really a part of Solo, a Star Wars story. They haven't been a part of necessarily Rebels, even though they have minor touches here and there. So what do you think, Catfish? Do you in any way understand where that opinion is coming from?
Well, I do. I mean, I feel like I've talked a lot about it, both in the first season and this season. It's definitely been one of the persistent, what I like to call double C's.
Double C's?
Yeah, Catfish questions.
No, brother. Oh, brother. The final episode where the wheels are off.
It's that I didn't want it to be associated so much with the Skywalker saga, mostly because I felt like that it might limit it. And here again is the question I already brought up is like, okay, so if Grogu goes off to train with Luke, then where the heck was he when all the rest of this stuff was going on? That being said, I loved the expansion and the connection to the universe this year, not knowing the larger part of it. I would say, a lot of times when we've been introduced to these new characters, you're like, okay, well, from Clone Wars this and from other stuff that's stuff that I think more casual fans haven't been aware of.
Yeah.
At least I wasn't. And so why not involve that rich history?
Well, I was just going to say, Catfish, that I understand that opinion. It's just tough for me to wrap my head around it because I don't have that pull. I don't have that issue. When things like Luke Skywalker show up, I don't think, oh, here we go again. I think, well, this is the logical choice. Who else really would show up at this point in the timeline? Of course it'd be Luke. And so, listeners, if you have that opinion, we want to validate it. We understand it's a real opinion. We just don't connect to it that way. But hey, write to us and talk to us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/PHQ, Twitter and Instagram, PHQ, YouTube. Drop those comments. We love to hear from you.
I don't know where we are as far as the timing or what happened to him, but are you sure it couldn't have been Jar Jar?
Well, Catfish, get ready. Once again, the rumors of him showing up in season 3. Hold on. Hold on to your super long tongue.
On. That would be the most confusing thing to me, Bubba, would be the rehabilitation of Jar Jar. It's not necessary. Let's just move on.
It's coming, Catfish.
No, it's not necessary.
Catfish, you're on this. You are in this hyperspace tunnel. We are going straight to Naboo. You're getting ready for it. But okay, this episode begins right in the middle of an action scene. Boba Fett's Slave One, his spaceship, is firing on the Imperial shuttle with an ion cannon. Now, we didn't see the episode, which was another side quest of, hey, we've got to find where Dr. Pershing is. We missed that episode, but hey, we know where Dr. Pershing is. Boba Fett shoots an ion cannon and disables the shuttle. And then they board it. And then we get what I feel like is actually a very good starting scene of, okay, we need Dr. Pershing. This is a standoff. This is an Imperial standoff. We're going to blow them away if you guys don't drop your weapons and leave. Oh, really strong. I love the visual effect shot of the Slave One rising above the Imperial shuttle's cockpit. So good. Catfish, what did you think of this opening scene?
I thought it was interesting, except for I just thought, obviously they want to get some exposition out here. I'm just not sure how long I would let someone gloat about how they've destroyed people I love. I'm not sure how long I would let them. I'd be like, okay, are you done with that story now? Now I'll shoot you. I felt like I'd have an idea where they were going, and like one sentence in, they'd be gone.
Do you know how many millions of people were on those bases? He means the Death Stars. When they were blown up as the galaxy cheered, he has a right to be angry. And then he gets a blaster shot to the face. Holy smokes, GD, hell yeah, this is on.
Yeah.
I've never seen a blaster shot to the face. Is that one of the worst Star Wars deaths you can get? The Sarlacc you can escape from, thanks Boba Fett. Is there another worse Star Wars death you could get? Ooh.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I do want to shout out that while we're talking about this, since it is the final episode of the season, we should be talking about season MVPs. And here in this scene, we had my first nominee for Mandalorian Season 2 MVP. And you know who that is.
Who?
The character I'm calling Brave Pilot, who bravely said, I'm not with him. We can work something out. And then was rudely shot in the back. This guy was willing to stand up for his own life and beg for mercy. Just as I would. And so he is my first nominee for Mandalorian Season 2 MVP. Very brave of him. He went out a hero.
Yeah, I just don't know why. Yeah, well, sure.
Okay, so after they've captured Dr. Pershing, they go to this planet, which, as far as I can tell, we haven't been named. It looks like there are a lot of refineries, a lot of smokestacks on the planet. And sure enough, 2 Mandalorians walk into a bar, Catfish.
Oh, yeah. And one says to the other, hey, can you buy me a drink? And the second one says, yeah, I just need you to go to a planet and get a crate dragon egg first.
Oh, yes, exactly. So I've already joked about this. I'm a bit sick of the purity tests of Mandalorians. You know,
I'm telling you, people have to feel superior.
These frigging political ads where they call each other M.I.N.Os, Mandalorians in name only, they have got to stop.
Well done.
Hey, and here's another joke when you have Mandalorians in bar. What does one sidekick say to the other sidekick?
What?
Nothing. They're not allowed to talk. Hello.
Boom. Way to infantilize someone. That's the thing. Everybody thinks they're the master of their own destiny. Even Robin is probably like, yeah, Batman, he's my sidekick.
So we also have some more Galaxy Smack Talk, Catfish. And this episode was loaded with Galaxy Smack Talk. Boba Fett dropped one. Well, if that isn't the Quack Truck calling the Stifling slimy. What the hell? Do you like that one? They don't want to say, isn't that Max Rebo calling the Spotchka blue? I mean, what do you think of that?
I feel
put
like
down?
there were and again, I don't know how well these things are known in the universe, but there were the two lines that stood out to me as like, wah, 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 was that. And then I think we've heard this one before, though, later on when Cara Dune Plorable says a real skank in the scud pile. I feel like they're
We have
really
heard that one before. Yeah.
they're really pushing the envelope here.
Well, how about this? Bo Katan pulls one out that we used to say on our Game of Thrones podcast, the Joffrey podcast, all the time. Save it for the imps.
Oh yeah, shout out to the imps.
And Boba, I mean, this is just Snapback City. When they say, hey, we'll help you rescue the kid, but you've got to help us save Mandalore. Boba Fett, what a diss. You've got to be kidding me. Mandalore, the Empire turned that planet to glass. Oh, snap, hell yeah. Get it on.
I mean, it just kept going on, though, because after she called him out, he said, this is my father's armor, and she says, your father or your donor? And then
snap.
She says, I've heard your voice thousands of times, and he comes back with, mine might be the last one you hear. I mean, this is just, it's a zing fest here in the bar.
Yes, and then there's a self-own. When Koska and Boba Fett are fighting, Bo-Katan says, if we had shown half that spine to the Empire, we never would have lost our planet. Ouch. Self-own there.
I'm telling you, they haven't even started drinking yet.
Right. They've destroyed 2 tables. They've shot each other up with their flamethrowers. And then they're going to sit down and go, okay, spotchkas for everybody.
Woof.
Everybody agrees with the plan. Even Din, this is important. He implies, if I succeed in my mission, I'll help you get Mandalore back. So that seems to be where we're going, possibly, with this storyline. They all gather back up with Cara Dune and Dr. Pershing, and they plan this attack. And my second nominee for season MVP is in this scene, Catfish.
Well, it's got to be Dr. Pershing, who's like, whoever I'm with, I'm going to help them as much as I possibly can.
That's exactly right. He is the most helpful prisoner anywhere. He starts planning the attack. He takes control of the map. He's like, okay, listen, you got these dark troopers here. They're going to take a while to boot up. Couple minutes. All right. Now you want to know where the brig is, where Grogu is? Yeah, go right here. Dr. Pershing, have a spine, man. If you had shown half that spine to the rebellion, the Empire would still be around.
It's not a spine. He just likes to be help. He says it's short-term memory. Whoever he's with, those are his buddies.
Oh, my goodness. Now, Dr. Pershing also points out, hey, this is the 3rd generation of Dark Troopers. They're all droid. Why is that important to get out there? This is Luke post-Return of the Jedi. We don't want him slicing through a lot of human beings or living things. So these are all droids. So when Luke goes to town on them later, don't worry, not a soul was killed. No midichlorians were lost in this assault that Luke does at the end of the end.
I didn't care so much about that, but I will say this is great because we debated exactly this point. Mm-hmm. And I believe, once again, you were proven correct.
Well, it was a guess. Listen, this is Generation 3. I'm old school. I have the original 1.0 Dark Trooper. Now, this next thing I'm just going to mention because it doesn't seem very safe. We saw 2 ships flying in parallel through hyperspace. Does that seem safe in any way? What if one ship even slows down just a centimeter and the other one smashes through it at light speed? Youch! Of course, there's a chance we've seen this in other films. I just couldn't recall it. And for me, safety first.
They're not going to be able to sell the plan unless they jump out of hyperspace together.
Oh, that's a good point. That is a good point.
Maybe you could explain this to me a little bit because it proves to be kind of important at the end. Is that Bo-Katan, I believe Bo-Katan wants to kill Moff Gideon, but Dune Plorable wants him alive.
Well, we find out some of that here, where Cara Dune is like, listen, he's very wanted. The New Republic wants him. They want to interrogate him. If there's any logic in the show leaving Moff Gideon alive, it's possibly he could be like a Hannibal Lecter evil guy behind bars who, through his evil mind, hurts the rebellion even more. I think that would be an interesting idea. I'm pitching it.
I mean, he is dangerous. He is really dangerous. Unlike Grogu, I don't think that he would pull a Three Stooges routine with his captors. He would do something a little bit more evil.
He sure would. Good for him. So, well, what do you think? Do you think that if you're Cara Dune and you are a marshal, right? She's got the badge. You know, you want him down either way. So how much are you going to fight to bring in the prisoner alive? Yes, you'd like him alive, but this guy's evil. This guy is a war criminal. You got to take him out one way or another. So I don't think she should be too tough on Bo Katan saying, I want to
Well, but I
him.
just don't think, I just don't think that, I wouldn't try that hard simply because we've seen enough of Moff Gideon to sense that whatever information they could get out of him is probably not as helpful as the potential danger he could cause by getting away, etc. Like, he just seems, he's like dynamite. I'm not sure how carefully you can handle him.
Catfish, you've said it brilliantly. That's exactly right. So we jump out of hyperspace together. Boba Fett is, don't worry, princess, I'll put on a show. And he's putting on a show that this shuttle's in trouble. I have to tip my cap. This is, I think, one of the smartest infiltrate an Imperial base we've seen. And let's be honest, we've seen a whole bunch throughout Star Wars. Hey, we got to get on this Imperial base. We got to break into the structure. And this one, getting onto a ship by claiming you're in distress, it makes an awful lot of sense.
It's pretty good, although I guess what they're saying is every second counts, because I feel like it only delayed the eventual response by about a half a minute.
Well, they got on the ship, though, right? Like, they got on the ship and they blocked the launch place for all these TIE fighters. So only 2 could get out and attack Boba Fett. Boba Fett didn't have to take out 30. He only had to take out 2. So I thought it was a relatively good plan.
I don't want to be a downer and kind of look at this realistically.
Sure.
But considering their situation, unless you thought somebody was really important on that one ship, wouldn't your answer be, oh, this one ship's attacking the both of them? Let's just blast both of them out of the sky. Like,
well, hold on.
You know what I mean?
You would assume he was expecting Dr. Pershing on an Imperial shuttle like this. There's no way you would blow out a ship when he's your doctor on midichlorians. They called him a clone scientist, correct, in this episode? So
okay, all right.
I think there would be a hesitancy to blow them both out of the air. I think you would definitely have troops around that ship once it crashes into your hangar bay, but yeah.
You've sold it to me, except for the fact that they didn't say, like, we have Dr. Pershing on board.
No, that's correct. And I thought it was odd that they didn't. I think they should have. They should have had a voice recording of his voice. He's such a wimp anytime he's captured. He's like, oh, they're shooting at me. Let me on.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't even need him because as long as they say they have him on board and they're expecting it. But I just, all right.
Boba then, of course, has to jump away so that the Empire's guard is a bit down. Hey, this ship that was attacking our shuttle has flown away. Another good thing about Boba flying away is he won't be around when Luke Skywalker shows up, a.k.a. he was trying to kill Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi. We don't want him to suddenly say, now's my chance. Grogu gets in Luke's hands and then Boba shoots him right in the back. That one's for you, Paw. This breaks up into 2 different things. We've got our girls getting it done from the boys' crew who are going to go up to the bridge. And we've got Mando on his track for Grogu. And I want to point out that on my counter at 13 minutes and 51 seconds, that's the second when the Dark Troopers started their boot up program. Mm-hmm. They didn't reach the door of their cell until 17 minutes and 52 seconds, a.k.a. 4 minutes. It took these things 4 minutes to boot and get to the door, not out the door, get to the door. I have so many old electronic devices that act like this. It hurt. It like really hurt my soul.
You'd hear that.
Right. Do you want to launch these Dark Troopers in safe mode? Hit F1. Yeah.
Well, I guess that just goes to show you the deficit of not having any human parts to it.
Yeah.
Also, you think, as we see here, it's a negative to have only one bay that your TIE fighters can leave from, considering your Dark Troopers, they live in their exit bay, as we'll see later.
What did you think of this fight, which was led by Cara Dune, Fennec Shand, and Bo Katan and Koska Reeves. Our 4 female fighters kicking serious ass. Was it a great fight? Or, say, honestly, for me, where I just thought the stormtroopers got to hit somebody. None of our good guys have to die, but let the stormtroopers hit somebody because they are so pathetic. And the ultimate moment was these 4 badass fighters have killed so many stormtroopers. You're running up to 2 of them. You see 3 of your dead stormtrooper comrades down on the floor. And this garrison yells, "Freeze, drop your weapons." What? Just kill them? What's the point?
The only, again, I just assumed something here because as we all know, the stormtroopers are clearly fodder, and basically you can just touch them on the arm and it immobilizes and or kills them. You don't even need a weapon. You can just touch them. My only assumption at that point was that somebody had left instructions that these guys wanted Moff Gideon alive, that Moff Gideon wanted these people alive for some reason. And of course, nobody cares about stormtroopers. You know, because when they fall, then you can just take off the armor and fit it to somebody else, unless they fall through the force field into space.
Oh, that was great. I love that.
That was awesome. I was a little confused. This is more like your, when you're going through hyperspace question. Mm-hmm. My question to you is, how does an energy weapon get jammed? Because usually when a weapon jams, it's because like the bullet is lodged in the chamber somehow, is improperly lodged in the chamber. It can't be propelled forward.
Have you ever left like a battery in the remote control a bit too long and it starts to calcify, turn white and stuff?
Oh, right. But then it doesn't work again until you replace the battery. And all you had to do
you
is
just
do a couple
jam it
of,
against the floor.
Got it. Okay.
Do that with your remotes, people. Your TV will start turning channels immediately. I thought these were good fights, even if I mock the stormtroopers, even if I mock Fennec Shan can literally dodge a blast. That is awesome. My reflexes are gone. I can't dodge a laser blast, but she could. I thought that was fun.
Amazing. So amazing.
Now, that's just part of this attack. Obviously, the second part of this attack, Mando's trying to get to Grogu. He didn't get to the door in time. One Dark Trooper gets out. And if this is Mando against one Dark Trooper, against a platoon, he would be screwed. What did you think of this fight between Mando and the Dark Trooper, a.k.a. Oberyn Martell gets his head smashed a second time?
Well, the first thing is I thought, holy cow, the same as you. Like, if this is one Dark Trooper, I mean, I thought they did a brilliant job so that later on when they're all out, you're like, there's no shot. And that's when I thought, we need a Jedi here because they got no chance.
Right.
The other thing is, I know that the Beskar resists weapons. I just didn't know that, like, it also cannot be dented at all.
Or scuffed. I mean, his head was smashing through the wall, man. That was intense.
The other thing, too, is...
He's got memory foam all around his head inside the helmet.
Yeah. I would think these Dark Troopers, they take a while to boot up. They may not have had a patch in a while. But, Dark Troopers, a lesson learned, if you can't punch, just dismember. Feels like...
Dude, yeah.
Just pop the head right off.
When this Dark Trooper, when its head was engulfed in flames, that is a great visual. That's like, Dank Farrick's about to hit the floor. You know what I mean?
It's funny because we always talk about why doesn't he use his little birds all the time?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he basically pulled everything that he had out of his sleeves and just barely got it done.
Can you tap out? Can you just be like, I'm out? Uncle.
I mean, holy cow.
Uncle Owen. You go, Uncle Owen, I give up.
What's great is, this is why it's great to be childish like I am and not pay attention well to things.
Okay.
So my question to you is, when he blasted the rest of the Dark Troopers out the lock, I, of course, didn't think to myself, well, they're not human and they've jetted around in space before, so they'll be fine. Was that in your mind, or did you think, okay, because things were happening so fast, you just moved on?
No, Catfish. As soon as they went out, I thought, they'll come back in. But as you're pointing out, this show had so much going on. While I thought about it immediately, as soon as I think it was Koska said the line later on, well, how many life forms are boarding? Yeah, I knew the answer would be no. It's, of course, the Dark Troopers are back. We didn't spend all this time hyping them for one fight and then to eject the rest. No. But as you point out, this show was moving fast. Bo Katan and her forces get to the bridge. Mando, did he use the Beskar steel to snap a stormtrooper's neck? What the heck? Disney Family Entertainment.
Also overkill.
And throughkill when he spiked one of them. But he opens that door, and you see Gideon holding the Dark Saber over Grogu's head. Hello. What'd you think, Catfish?
Oh, my God. I thought, how is he going to get out of this? And plus, we had a double G there, too.
Double G?
Yeah, Groggy Grogu.
Oh, yeah.
He looked completely out of it. He's chained up. He's drugged up. This was his Boy George moment, where he was just like living his best life. Little bondage, little drugs.
Hold on.
He's just like, I'm good.
Hey, and here's my third nominee for season MVP because I could really relate to Moff Gideon in this scene because he said the classic line, "A friendly piece of advice. Assume that I know everything." Hello. Woo-hoo.
Oh, boy.
Jeopardy champ, boy. Gideon, I love it.
That is trouble. Here's another thing that made me a little concerned here. I guess it had to happen. I started to believe Moff Gideon, but even before he turned, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way Moff's going to be like, yep, I got everything I need. They already ran out of blood once and needed to come back. There's no way Moff is going to make this deal.
But the fact you consider it, Catfish, and I did too, I knew he would reignite the Dark Saber, but when he makes that pitch, his blood has the potential to bring order back to the galaxy. First order in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. But when he said it, while I knew he had to break bad, Gus Fring, I thought it was a brilliant twist for Gideon to say, hey, he's describing Bo Katan and these forces as murderous savages that they are. I thought it was a brilliant idea to suggest. So while I couldn't ever 100% buy it, that's a pretty good line. Tip of my cap to Gideon.
All right. Give it up for the Moff.
What'd you think of the fight? So this is our fight, Dark Saber versus Beskar Spear. What'd you think?
I feel like earlier in this episode, maybe it was on the previously on, where they emphasized that the only thing that can hold up to the Dark Saber is Beskar.
Oh, yeah. Pure Beskar.
So we had that in our head. Something they were setting up and I didn't realize was at some point they're like, well, if we're going to have him deal with the Dark Saber, then he can't just be defending himself. Somehow he has to attack. So that's why he got the, in video game parlance, the weapon drop in an earlier episode.
I thought the fight was okay. I scribbled this line down that somebody wrote in a review and said this specific fight, while it was cool and the Dark Saber cutting through the wall and setting the wall on fire was very cool, this particular fight didn't have acts to it. You know how sometimes it's like, okay, I get ahead, now you get ahead, and I get out of this scrape this way, and you get out of the scrape that way. And that's the way the best Star Wars fights are. And so the fact that this fight didn't necessarily have it, to me, it wasn't obviously the greatest action fight the show's ever had, but still interesting. And when he didn't kill him, when he spared him, I was actually very shocked. I did have to wait until Cara said, hey, there's a New Republic bounty on him, and it's twice the bounty if you bring him in alive. And so I did like, okay, that ties back in. Mando is a bounty hunter, yada, yada, yada. But the fact that Gideon survived, I keep calling this episode full of shocking surprises. That did surprise me.
I was reading earlier, and I hate that I can't remember this, but there was someone who was doing a lot of second unit directing for The Mandalorian this year. So some of the action sequences that we may have attributed to the listed director,
right? No, this is a good point.
Probably have been done by other people.
Yeah, no. Second unit, especially in action scenes, do take on so much. The action that I loved the most this season was Robert Rodriguez, and even if he didn't shoot all of it, he knows how to edit it and put it together. So
yeah, true.
So this episode was directed by Peyton Reed. He did a really good job. But this specific fight of Gideon and Mando, I thought was good, at times very good. Like little moments in it, very good. But I needed even more butt kicking, if I can say so. So we get back in. Everything seems like, wow, this all really worked out well. When suddenly we have this, what I assume is a season 3 arc or pitch come up. You can't just hand the Dark Saber over to Bo Katan. You've got to earn
No.
it. Ooh, what did you
Okay.
think about this? I'm not sure how I feel about it other than I love this line from Moff Gideon. The Dark Saber doesn't have power. The story does.
I did read somewhere that I think during the Clone Wars that Bo Katan at some point did get it by not defeating somebody. So you have to best someone in a battle. Well, clearly that doesn't mean that you have to kill them,
Right?
Because Moff Gideon is still alive.
She's
Also,
still alive.
Who
Bo-Katan's
says it
still
has
alive.
to be? Who says it has to be weapons? Why not a little hollow chess?
Oh,
Let's
that
do
would be
that.
awesome.
Some holographic chess. Sit there, do it. That's a good story. Crushed at chess.
Well, Bo-Katan does have the red hair. Queen's Gambit too.
So yeah, that part, I see what they're doing, but I hope they don't go on that. It seems to me like they're going to go on that, but that seems a little flimsy to me. I'm not ready to buy into that situation.
Well, the one thing I would say for people who haven't watched all of the animated Clone Wars series is that Bo-Katan, since we've been following her here on The Mandalorian, she's like a good guy team. She's fighting the Empire, the Imperial remnants. We like her for that. But in that animated show, a lot of times Bo-Katan was fighting for what you would consider the bad guys for selfish reasons, or specifically joining up with the bad guys for selfish reasons. And so, yes, at the end of the animated show, she had flipped and her desires aligned with the good guys, so she was on the good guy team. But I think it'd be interesting, and it would be very, maybe above what the show wants to do, but I think it would be interesting to suddenly pull Bo-Katan into the morally questionable side of the show. I think it's an interesting idea. We'll have to see for season 3.
Not having any background to her whatsoever, and so everything I've seen of her in this show is not informed by anything else, is that they have set her up not like anybody else on the show. She seems like she has her desires and that she will do whatever it takes to get them. She's a prickly personality and she wants something. They've already set her up that she could easily do some morally questionable things, and it would be in character with the person that they have set up on just within the confines of this show.
Oh, good. Well, I believe that's what they're trying to get across. So, okay, good. The Dark Troopers have come back on board. They are the monster at the door. They are the monster punching his way through the blast doors. Oh, snap. We're in trouble. That score is getting more intense and more intense and more intense when suddenly it's cut by an alarm going off. An X-Wing flies in. Snarky Cara Dune. One X-Wing, we're saved. Hello, Luke Skywalker.
Grogu's ears prick up, and when they prick up, that's really saying something.
Right. Grogu's ears prick up for Jedi and Frog Lady's eggs. Those two things. And the silver ball. I forgot that one. But okay, I just got to go through this. We see one X-Wing, and I start thinking to myself, once again, I had considered Luke, but I thought, the show won't do it. The show won't do it. One X-Wing. I'm like, okay, are they going to do it? A cloaked figure appears on a black and white monitor. You're like, maybe. Okay, he's definitely a Jedi because we can see his lightsaber on the black and white monitor. Oh, wait a minute. It's a green lightsaber. Okay, wait. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, he's wearing a black glove on the hand that Vader would have cut off. Okay, let me see the other hand. The other hand doesn't have a glove. Oh my goodness, it's Luke Skywalker. I was just going nuts until they revealed his face. I was like, oh my God, are they going to do it? They're going to do it. Okay, he's lifting his head. Oh my God. And so I just can't recreate that feeling of how crazy that was. And so did you have a favorite kill that Luke had? Did you have a favorite move he had? Did you have a favorite? What were you thinking while all this was going down?
He just did it all. He's like, I'm going to force you away. I'm going to slice you up. They set him up as such a badass that as the Dark Troopers are sitting there waiting, the elevator's dinging. It was just amazing. You know, one thing that's a little bit before this, but we didn't talk about, Disney, they're trying to juice all the money they can out of this. Little toys, etc.
Yep.
There's a game we used to play when we were kids, a silly, stupid game. They still have it, but it's not, of course, as popular as it was, called Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Is it possible that we could have the Dark Trooper Rock'em Sock'em Robots because they seem to love punching?
Right. What you would have them fight each other. I think if the game was, okay, who can punch through the blast doors fastest, that would be kind of a lame game.
It would be super lame because apparently they can't do it.
Oh, they got pretty close. Give them credit. They got pretty close in a short amount of time to get through those blast doors. Yeah, I'll give them their due.
What with the boot time and not knowing to just pop someone's head off and having trouble getting through the door, I really think there need to be some upgrades. And I think it's not a minor one. They can't go from Dark Troopers 1.0 to Dark Troopers 1.2. They need to go like right to 3.0.
No. Listen, in the game, that 4-minute boot up time, that's going to be reading the instructions. Okay, press this button to punch this fist. Press this other button to press this fist.
Chung chung.
My favorite was Luke doing the Coke can crush, the aluminum can crush of the Dark Trooper there at the very end. I'm like, holy smokes, that's great. And I want to give a shout out. I think it was Bo Katan who said when Mando was like, okay, open the door. Did Bo Katan be like, are you crazy? I mean, Moff Gideon, Giancarlo Esposito, his face where he thinks he's winning. And then when he, wait, an X-Wing showing up. Oh my God, it's a Jedi. His face showing that fear. Wonderful acting from the Moff.
Oh, yeah. And when he saw Luke, he was not happy. The Mandalorian may not have heard of Luke Skywalker, but Moff Gideon has.
Right. And Moff Gideon, let's give him credit. He wanted to go out in a blaze of glory. He shot up Bo-Katan as best he could. I thought maybe he would find a spot that wasn't Beskar armor. He doesn't seem to. Then he tried to kill Grogu. Mando dives in front of him. His final bit was he was going to shoot himself right up the chin and into the head. Whoa. Yuck. Great moment that got lost in all this Luke Skywalker greatness, I think. Oh, so good.
You got to respect a guy.
Yeah.
You got to respect a guy who is going to do to himself what he expects others to do.
Oh, yeah.
In that one where he's like, well, if the Mandalorians are there on the ship, you know what you have to do. You got to scuttle the ship.
Long live
just
the
take
Empire.
Yourselves down.
Yeah.
And so he's willing to do the same thing.
Wonderful points, my friend. Okay, the emotional moment, the Grogorable moment of Grogu reaching out and touching your boy's helmet and then touching your boy's chin. Did you think Grogu would go? I mean, this feels so monumental. It feels like the end of the show, not a season finale, but a series finale. The fact that he was going, it blew me away. What did you think?
I'm of at least two different minds about this.
Okay.
One, it felt like when we had Ahsoka and, Mando brought her there and he's like, here it is. This is the end of my journey. And Ahsoka's like, no, I'm not doing it. I was a little like, well, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And so I think it's super smart of them to do this because how long could we get away with this where it feels a little weird, where he keeps trying to find people and he can't find anybody and you know what I mean? Like, I felt like it was super smart to have what neither of us expected, and which was the Mandalorian's done the job that he's wanted to do for 2 seasons. But on the other hand, so where does this leave us? And, we've become, just like Grogu on the ship, we've become addicted, but instead of to sweet, sweet drugs, it's Grogu.
Yeah, I mean, this is shocking. This is a shocking surprise. I could not believe it. Of course, I was so warm to see Luke Skywalker when R2-D2 came out. R2-D2, of course, when I first saw him, was my favorite character. There's R2. I mean, this was thrilling and shocking, and it's like, where are we going? And I assumed that, okay, Grogu and Luke leave. Now, I want to point out, because of the technical limitations, Luke doesn't ask things like, what are you guys doing on this Imperial cruiser? Hey, is that Moff Gideon on the floor? Isn't he wanted by the New Republic? Luke gives no Fs about any of this stuff. He's like, I'm here for Grogu, later losers. But I thought the elevator doors would close and then maybe there'd be some, okay, now we're going to free our planet of Mandalore or whatever. But it just closes and cuts to black and then the credits came up. I was shocked. I was stunned. I had no idea how they could end a season like this. I would say the big thing to all listeners, and I know in my heart of hearts, Grogu's not gone for good. Grogu
I agree
reappear.
with you. My only question is, are they going to do a thing where it's going to be parallel tracks? Are they going to do some sort of time jump, to 2 or 3 years later or 6 months or whatever? But this still sets up another problem that we have, which I've mentioned before. Okay, so Grogu seems pretty powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Correct? So the question is, what happened to him after Luke trained him that he's not involved in any of the rest of the Skywalker saga, the movies that we've seen? He would seem to be like, if they could train him up, a pretty powerful and necessary force.
Well, I would say what we would have to expect is hear Ahsoka. Fans got familiar with her in the animated Clone Wars. She didn't appear in any of the movies. Obviously, the character hadn't been created yet, but she didn't appear in any of the original trilogy movies where a character like her would have been really helpful. They will come up with, who knows when, and they'll probably put this decision off for a bit, but they will come up with some Ahsoka-like mission that Grogu will have been on during the sequel trilogy, and that's why Grogu wasn't there to help Rey, Poe, and Finn on their journey. It's impossible to think what that is now, but I'll tell you this, there is no way that Grogu got killed by Kylo Ren when he went to town with the Knights of Ren on Luke's Jedi Academy. No way in hell. They're not going to have Kylo Ren kill Grogu in hindsight. They just want to do that.
What's interesting is no one has come out with, you thought to yourself, what they could have done was say, okay, this second season, we set up all these spin-offs. We got to the end of this story successfully. People loved it. We could just stop here. So right. I don't think they're doing that. But, they're not doing that because they've already talked about season 3. But there's no, they haven't come out and said, because they feel like they don't have to, how long they anticipate The Mandalorian going for.
Well, listeners, what do you want? We haven't given you a great answer from us, I don't think. But tell us how long you want to. How do you want to see Grogu again? Do you want to see Grogu again? Do you like the fact that Grogu rode off into the sunset with a Jedi at peace with somebody who will care for him and train him? Write to us on social media at WPHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/WPHQ. I said it. I don't have a great answer for the listeners of what Disney's thinking right now. They haven't given us any hint, but at this point, riding high off this show and the first 2 seasons, it feels like they really probably believe correctly that they can do anything. Hey, if we want a Grogu getting trained show, sure, let's do it. Why not?
Well, we'll see what happens. People were super excited for this Mandalorian before it started, and then Grogu became, superstar breakout. I'm trying to think of what new Star Wars character has captured the zeitgeist as much as Grogu.
There isn't anybody. There couldn't be anybody from the prequels who you would say had captured the zeitgeist
except
Grogu.
for your boy Jar Jar.
He definitely is well known as Grogu. Well, let's go to other properties. In Marvel, has Tony Stark in Iron Man, because I was in a theater where I heard people crying, spoiler alert, when Tony Stark died in Avengers Endgame, has he reached that level of, or, has Grogu already reached the level of Spider-Man? Probably not, but this is big. Grogu is big. Grogu is bigger than the show because these memes and such.
Oh, yeah. Let's just say this. If anybody had the tiniest piece of Grogu, they will be able to live the rest of their lives in the lap of luxury. If you had the tiniest piece, because Grogu is not going away in our lifetimes, Bubba.
I agree. All right, Catfish, let's jump to this final post-credit scene. Not really much of anything, but the big shock for a lot of people is Bib Fortuna, and the credits reveal this is Bib Fortuna, the major domo of Jabba the Hutt. They're sitting on the throne in Jabba's palace. Bib Fortuna, I went back and watched Return of the Jedi this morning, Catfish. Bib is on the sail barge, which blows up to smithereens. He doesn't say a line while he's on the sail barge, but the effect shot show that sail barge, not like one explosion and then it crashes. The whole thing blew up. How in the world would Bib have survived this? Who knows, but we know one thing. When you sit at Jabba's palace, you got to fill out the throne one way and one way only. Eating.
I love, first of all, that no one's there No one is there, and yet Boba Fett's still like, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit on this throne facing nobody, and his double S sidekick Sally, Fennec, she then grabs a drink and drinks next to the throne in this amazing pose in front of nobody.
Catfish, later today, I want you to, you've got a nice throne. I've been to your house. Go.
Sure.
Go sit in a pose like you're posing for a Trump family Christmas card right there.
I assume you're talking about the toilet with the fancy bidet on it looks like a.
I gotta give it up to Bib Fortuna. He dropped a McClunky. He barely had any lines, but he still got to drop a McClunky when he was sending his troops up to find out what had happened. One of the background extras looks identical to one of the inserted background extras in the Return of the Jedi special editions. In fact, one that Boba was flirting with in the special editions. They inserted a shot of him putting his hand right up underneath this alien's chin, and sure enough, an alien who looked a lot like that was deep in the background there with Bib. The Book of Boba Fett. Boba and his major domo, Fennec Shand, they are in a crime boss's palace on the throne. I've said that I like Boba not only because he has cool, awesome suit and awesome effects. I like him because he's been on the bad guy team. Book of Boba, whatever it is, release the morally dark gray Boba out into the crime world. Star Wars Underworld, we may finally get it. I'm through the moon. I'm like, hail to the yeah.
I also like that this is the guy who played him in the Phantom Menace, and it's actually a sound editor. The guy who plays Bib Fortuna, Matthew Wood, sound editor.
Well, Matthew Wood, I mean, this is crazy. So the original Bib Fortuna, I don't know if he was alive, but he didn't play the younger Bib Fortuna in the Phantom Menace. So the actor who played Bib Fortuna in Return of the Jedi, they didn't have him back in the makeup when Bib Fortuna had a very brief blinking and you miss him appearance in the Phantom Menace. Instead, it was Matthew Wood, the sound editor, who ended up being the voice of General Grievous or Jedi. You know, that's actually a terrible Grievous impersonation. But yeah, so they brought him because he appeared in a distant shot as Bib Fortuna. They brought him back. He didn't try to make his voice sound like Bib Fortuna from Return of the Jedi, but he was getting fat like another Twi'lek from the prequels, Oren Free-Taa. That's a deep, deep Star Wars cut for you there. Go to Wikipedia and look up Oren Free-Taa. Listeners, he's so deep. But he got. You get shot in your head tail and you is dead. Ouch. Are you excited for Boba Fett, Catfish? Are you excited for possibly bad guy Star Wars?
Oh, yeah. I'm all in on bad guy Star Wars. It sounds good to me. I'm just curious about the timing of it. It seems to me that, you know, your smart move is to have year-round Star Wars content.
Right. One for each quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. They have announced so many of them. Some of them sound like they're going to happen later. So, for example, when The Mandalorian stops, they'll have something else. But for sure, if you're Disney, it doesn't feel like you need to have 2 Star Wars themed shows going on at the same time.
The same month? Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So if you think about it, they would really only need like 6 running a year to have nonstop Star Wars content.
Well, how about this? Would you have, and I agree, it doesn't make too much sense, but how about this? They also have announced those animated shows. Is there a chance that you would have an animated and a live-action show going at the same time, or would you want to stagger those as well?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think you could do an animated and a live-action one. It's super smart to have this show, which feels a little bit more adult, but also for Disney Plus to have some more of the Clone Wars cartoons and stuff like that. I'm sorry. I should call them animated shows.
No, I call them cartoons occasionally. Yeah, we got to clean that up.
All right, cartoons.
Hey, so we have talked about this. We've talked about the Book of Boba Fett. Listeners, hey, there's no more contest, but we are going to keep asking for your feedback in this long 11 months until we're back in Star Wars live action world. You know it. Repeat it with me at PHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/PHQ. And Catfish, we got the big prize coming up, but first I think we need to get to our feedback.
Oh, heck yes, let's do this.
We got some feedback from somebody on Twitter known as Brutus Rock Crusher, at Brutus RC on Twitter. Love it. Brutus wrote, "How did I not know about this podcast until today? The Joffrey of podcasts was my double F.
Double F?
Fan favorite Game of Thrones podcast easily. And I'm probably going to double B.
Double B?
Brutus binge listened to every single episode of Mandalorian Double P.
Oh, heck yes. We love that.
Yes. Hey, spread the word. It's going to be a long 11 months, so tell your friends to subscribe and listen to the Parsec Passion podcast. Thank you so much, Brutus.
You know what? If you consider your Disney subscription, which is $6.99 a month,
Sure.
will be going up to $7.99, right? That if you consider the cost of the Disney subscription, $6.99, and then consider the cost of a Parsec Passion subscription, which is $0.00, that means
sad.
you get more than twice the content for $6.99.
Incredible. You're losing money if you don't subscribe to the Parsec Passion podcast.
You are wasting your money if you don't listen to us. Exactly right.
Hey, we got some great feedback from this episode, Catfish, from Christine Newman at ListGirl on Twitter.
Make those lists, girl.
Christine wrote, "I am sad. Is the clan of two for a little while or for life? I thought that's what this show was about, Grogu and Mando. Also, is there a season 3? Maybe this is it." Great question, Christine. I wish we had an answer for you. I believe by the time you're listening to this podcast, you'll have one. But the clan of two with the little mud horn sigil of Grogu and Mando have been split up, Catfish. This is a sad occasion.
It is sad. And as I said, I wonder whether they're going to do a time jump and bring them back together or see what happens next year with them apart. Do we see some stuff happen with Grogu? I don't know how much more of Luke we want to have as he is now. We'll find out. Matt Murdick at Musical Concepts, our friend who does the music, he said, "Holy wow." He gave it 9.99, and then he kept going with nines, so there's like 17 nines.
Wow.
Out of 10 double S's.
Wait, double S's?
Yeah, Skywalker Showdowns.
Oh.
The TIE Fighter launch tube reminds me of old Battlestar Galactica launch tubes. I have a feeling, given the guest stars, that this is not a coincidence. Okay, so they need Grogu's blood and a clone scientist to create a new Palpatine clone so that it jives with the third trilogy?
What else are you going to do with Grogu's blood? Show and tell? No, you're going to make some clones. Let's do this.
I love it.
But Matt, great rate.
D at D Reluctant Wit says 9 out of 10 double X's.
Double X's.
Ex Machina X-Wings.
Hell yeah.
That is beautiful.
Hell yeah. Love it. Our good buddy Rob the Toon Man, who's at Rob the Toon Man on Twitter, wrote, "Holy dank Ferric. What a finale. Not quite the Magnificent Seven I predicted, but close. Girls attack team. Awesome. Rescue, X-Wing, and a blast from the past. Wow. Where do we go from here?" That's what everybody's asking, Rob. Rob's question: did Kylo kill Grogu? Ooh, future uncertain. Oh, man,
Ooh,
Rob, yes.
Oh, boy.
Always emotion, the future is.
Camille at Harley Camille says, "I have no thoughts right now as I ugly cry."
No.
My reactions were like the Key and Peele skit when they yell, "That's my jam," but I ended up bawling at the end. Happy yet destroyed.
Oh, Camille. Oh, that's tough. Hey, send us a picture of you ugly crying.
Dooley's Left Legs at Dooley's Left Leg says, as an episode in its entirety, I had to give the finale 8.333 triple J's.
Wait, triple J's?
Yeah, Joyous Jedi Judgment.
Oh.
It was quite a predictable ending, but I enjoyed nonetheless. The season was sensational as a whole. Must-watch post-credits. Was that pointing at a new show or where the story's heading?
Everybody's asking this question. Oh, we love our friend across the pond, Dooley. Love it. Laura McMillian.
Laura McMillian at Mesocat, M-E-I-S-O Cat, says, "I'm not crying, you're crying."
Wait, did I accidentally leave my computer camera on? Let me turn that off. Oh, wait. No.
You did. You are crying.
How did she see? How did she know? Glenn Ewing, our good buddy Glenn Ewing, from our time there at the John Cleese show with Eric Idle in, what was that, Pasadena, I think? Or no, Glendale. It was Glendale. Glenn wrote,
yeah.
"I was grinning ear to ear and ugly crying at the same time. Never knew I could do that." Oh, thank you, Glenn. Love it.
Glenn had a very complex mix of emotions. Caroline Tucker at Caroline1475 says, "I loved every minute of the finale. very surprised at the ending, and was definitely crying.
Catfish, are we emotional bums? Did you cry? I didn't cry. I knew it was emotional. I felt it, but I didn't tear up. How about you? Did you?
I did not cry, mostly because I was an asshole saying, like, why is Mando taking his helmet off in front of everybody?
Everybody else is crying. You're standing up in the theater. Put the damn helmet back on.
I was also saying, I think that Pedro Pascal was like, all right, I'll shave my mustache once this season, but I will not shave it again for episode 8.
Aw.
Your old buddy Bucho at Fists of Bucho says the Imp should probably rethink their design of their light cruiser security forces barracks.
Oh, no.
I thought that too. The honest answer is they want them to be able to go right out the door. So that's why they did it. That's why they set that up.
Bucho, correct me if I'm wrong. Is this our buddy Bucho from down in New Zealand from our Game of Thrones days? We love Bucho. Good to hear from you. Oh, we also got a bit of feedback from last week's episode with good old Bill Burr. Ron Rainier Jr. wrote, I'd like to give this episode 9.4586 out of 9.4587 double S's.
Double S's?
Spontaneous smirks.
Okay.
As you two always make me smile and make work or whatever I'm doing more enjoyable. Oh, wow. Yeah. Hey.
Thanks, Ron.
Oh, The Believer was good too. Oh, okay.
Yes, excellent.
For years, I've Mando-splained your podcast to my wife when I've had bits to play her. And of course, played the opening song to her. No Mando-splaining necessary. Love it. And he's mocking me how I always say, love it, in the Bubba voice, of course. Thanks, Ron. Hey. That's a quick way to divorce, is play your significant other our voices. They're sure to leave you soon.
They won't wonder at all what's wrong with you.
Hey, we asked last week about those Star Wars spinoffs and which one do you want to see? Which one are you most excited about? And we got some feedback here from Mara Butler. Mara wrote, I'm looking forward to more movies. So I'm probably most interested in the spin-off movies, although there is some confusion about the setting of the movies, like Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron. Some people think it will be set in the OT, original trilogy, while some people think it will be set post The Rise of Skywalker. She's least looking forward to the animated show The Bad Batch. That was not my favorite arc from the Clone Wars, and I'm not sure how they will expand on them. That is a great question, Mara. It'll be interesting to see. Mara also writes, also, like Catfish, I'm not sure how Hayden Christensen will be utilized in Kenobi. Will they meet up before A New Hope? Question mark. Mara's on your side, Catfish.
Well, I'm not sure whether she's really on my side. Maybe she's being nice. My side is more like, I don't want to see Hayden Christensen anymore in this world.
Oh, my goodness. Moff Catfish is a true bastard.
Bubba, your optimism, maybe I'll be carried along by your optimism here.
Or just get excited that I could be wrong and you could rub it in my face.
I love it. Okay, and again, Camille at Harley Camille about the spinoff says, I'm obsessed with The Mandalorian and all Star Wars shows like I was with Game of Thrones. I was giddy to see the Night King, but this character seemed more evil than the Night King.
Oh, my, that poor guy. He invited them for drinks. The Night King never invited Jon Snow for drinks. Come on.
I'm trying to think of someone who is more evil than the Night King. That's challenging.
But we're up for it. Hey, we love your feedback, even though the show's over. Please write to us. We say it so much because we love hearing from you, the people we like to call double L's.
Double L's?
Something positive listeners. Okay, Catfish, it is time for everybody's favorite segment, the Double M Matt Murdich segment. Are you ready to get to Matt's breakdown of this final episode?
I'm ready. Let's hear it.
It seems rather fitting that I'm going to start this musical section with the end, or at least near the end. Please tell me that you watched the entire credit sequence. Not just because, of course, there was the bonus scene at the end with Boba Fett, but there was a fully realized, completely acoustic string section rendition of the Mandalorian theme. And that was one of the most beautiful pieces of music I think that this series has produced so far. It gave everything a completely different kind of feel, didn't it, as far as that theme goes? The timbre, the instruments used, that was the reason why. You're taking away the drum beat. You still feel the beat within the strings. You take away the brass or the other instrumentation, but you still feel the power. And the bridge, the middle of that, with all of the polyphony, all the different moving notes, that Baroque style, he's used that a couple of times. I think he used it most recently in the Ahsoka episode, is when we really heard it with the different pipes and all of that, much more of a medieval almost kind of style. I still can't duplicate that on the piano, so, well, unless I grew a third hand. So I'm not going to play it, but I just wanted to comment how beautiful it sounded done with strings. There was also a really nice orchestrated version of the Boba Fett theme at the end as well. I'm talking about this. And we've already talked about this theme before. It outlines a diminished chord. And diminished chords make us feel very uneasy because they are symmetrical. And we don't like our harmony to be symmetrical because that makes resolution unpredictable. Those notes, when stacked on top of each other, tend to have an ability to go to several different places. And that's one of the things that makes us feel uneasy about it. And it fits Boba Fett's character. I mean, what the heck is he up to at the end of this season? I guess we're going to have to find out in the book of Boba Fett, right? Now, if you didn't notice, the diminished chord was also used as kind of the outline, the emphasis notes for the theme for the Dark Troopers as well. This theme. That theme also outlines a diminished chord, and that increases our fear and our outcome. Again, a diminished chord sounds like this. But Ludwig added an extra layer of tension as well because he used an interval, by interval I mean the distance between notes, of a minor second as kind of an accompaniment for that theme. It's symmetrical because the notes are right next to each other. And what that does is it blurs a sense of key. That makes us feel very uneasy. And actually, that technique has been used for a very long time. Think back to the movie Psycho. That's the same kind of interval that was used for those strings as well. But this is what it sounded like in this episode with the Dark Troopers. And then, of course, we got the full version of Grogu's theme. And we've talked about this earlier in the season before, too. But just to remind you, it uses what we call a Lydian scale. It uses one of the modes of a major scale. And what that mode does is it gives us a sense of wonder because there's one note that's out of place and it always feels like it's leading somewhere. Just like Grogu is using his imagination or his curiosity about Din's face in this episode or about R2-D2. And then throughout the season, he's been curious about everything, especially food, right? This is the part that I'm referencing. And the full rendition was really good. I loved that. It was beautifully done. It made that scene even more touching than it already was. Equally as good was the fact that I loved the little bit of a guitar intro going into Luke's theme, or we often know it as the Force theme from the movies. And just the appearance of that theme in general. I mean, how could you not have that theme show up with Luke Skywalker, right? Because from binary suns to, I guess, binary Yoda species, this theme has always been part of the Star Wars story. And I love that. Just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, shame on you if you don't. But if you don't know what I was talking about, this is it. And of course, when you've got an X-Wing and a green lightsaber and a cloaked guy, everyone knew who this guy was. Everyone knew it was Luke coming to save the day. But did you also notice that Ludwig referenced that Force theme that I just played throughout the entire sequence as Luke was taking out the Dark Troopers? Now, he didn't use the whole theme. He just used a little snippet. We call those motifs. He used a little piece of it that he spread throughout the whole sequence. He used this part mostly. A lot of the reference was rhythmic. It used the same kind of rhythms that little snippet uses. Sometimes it was intervals, meaning the distance between notes were the same, but it was spread out over the scale and throughout the course of the music. Rhythmically, you heard it a lot, though. Beautifully done. That's all I've got. It's been a beautiful season, both story-wise and music. I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking to you guys about it. Back to the boys.
Ooh, there we go. Matt has been kicking ass all season long. If you love Matt's analysis and you love that show, His Dark Materials, please check out the Dust podcast, where he and our good friend Double H Holly Hunt Pants break down His Dark Materials episodes, sometimes 2 podcasts a week. And Matt does deep dives on the music on that show. It's incredible. He is he is our podcast forefather. If you wonder why you ended up with 2 knuckleheads like us making podcasts, it's because Matt himself inspired us and got us into podcasting. We love Matt.
So it's his fault.
I wasn't going to phrase it like that, except in the show notes. In the show notes, I was going to write it like that, but not out loud. Okay, Catfish, are you ready for what we're about to do? Am I ready for what we're about to do? This is crazy. We are finally, after talking about it all season long, we are going to get to our giveaway prizes. This is where we've been bugging our listeners to send in screenshots that they've subscribed, and we're going to pull some names right now. Catfish, tell me, do you want to draw the grand prize first or to draw the grand prize winner last?
Ooh, I think we should draw the grand prize winner last.
Oh, okay. Well, the bad thing is then if your name gets pulled earlier, you don't get to say, you're like, oh, curses, I can't win the grand prize. Well, all right, fair enough. So last it is. So we will start at the bottom of our list. All right, so he will roll the dice that could end up on any of these numbers. And if it's the number that corresponds with your name in the spreadsheet, you will be eligible to win one of these prizes. So at the bottom, we're starting up with some hardback Star Wars legend novels. If your name is drawn, you could have the choice between Heir to the Empire, the Timothy Zahn book from 1991 that introduced Grand Admiral Thrawn, or you could win a hardback first edition copy of Shadows of the Empire from 1996, Steve Perry's novel set between some of the original trilogy films featuring Boba Fett. All right, Catfish, let's roll it and let's see who our winner is.
All right. Do you want me to tell you the number so you can read it out, or should I just read it out as it?
Yeah, you read it out.
Read the person. Okay, here we go. For this prize goes to Shakes of Thrones at Shakes of Thrones.
Oh, wow. Shakes of Thrones loves books, you would assume. Somebody who loves Shakespeare. Shakes of Thrones, you have your choice of which book you want to win. Just contact us either on our Facebook page or DM us on Twitter, or if you want to email us, it's hello@doublepmedia.com. That's the word hello @doublepmedia.com. Which one you would like. And listeners, once again, if your name isn't drawn, you could be eligible to win one of these other prizes. All right, so Catfish, from Hollywood Scum and Villainy, we've got some glasses and also some, what's the other thing you got from that place?
It's like a little coin, a Scum and Villainy coin.
All right, so a collector's coin or a cantina glass from the Hollywood's Scum and Villainy Cantina, the fun Star Wars themed bar there in Hollywood. So Catfish, roll it and tell us who the winner is.
All right, the winner is List Girl 0311.
Hey, all right. I think we just got some feedback today from List Girl. All right.
We sure did.
Next up, we're going to be giving away a Star Wars Power of the Force action figure. You have a choice, believe it or not, of 9 Nub, of a Gamorrean guard, or you've got a choice of 2 different types of droids from Jabba's palace, EV9D9 or 8D8. So, once again, a Power of the Force action figure, a 9 Nub, a Gamorrean guard, or EV9D9 or 8D8. Roll it, Catfish. Who's going to win?
It is going to be Nathan Savka.
All right, Nathan Savka. Heck yeah. Okay, this time, Catfish, we're going to be giving away a choice of either a Star Wars Attack of the Clone action figure, which is Yoda, Jedi Master action figure with Force action, or a Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace movie program. I mentioned that one of my exes worked at Fox when The Phantom Menace was released, and she grabbed this movie program. It'll be yours, or the action figure, depending on which one you choose. Catfish, roll
Holy
it. Who
cow.
won?
All right, here we go. It is Endless Mike.
Oh, we love Endless Mike 03 on Twitter. Boy, this is great. We know, this is wonderful. All right, so, okay. Everybody knows The Phantom Menace. What a film. It had a bunch of action figures, and we've got some good ones. Your choice of which one you want. You could get a Queen Amidala action figure in her Coruscant costume. You could get Qui-Gon Jinn. You could get Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Maul, Watto, or a battle droid. Your choice.
Holy cow.
I know, these are a lot of choices. Let's see who could possibly win this one, Catfish.
All right. Oh. All right. So I'm so glad that I get to butcher this name one more time this season. It goes to Ministro das Alucinazos Interiores at V. Moisino.
I believe he said we could call him Vinny, right? I hope
Vinny!
so.
It goes to Vinny!
Vinny, your choice of an action figure. All right, 2 more prizes, and then we're giving away next a Funko Action Pop. This is a normal size Funko Pop figure. Your choice is between Kuil, a.k.a. as we like to call him, Ugg Nolte, or Grief Karga himself. Hell yeah, you choose which one you'd like. Let's see who the winner is, Catfish.
The winner is Jay at Failed Musician.
Ooh, okay. Wonderful, Jay at Failed Musician. All right, here we go, Catfish. This is it. We are coming up on the grand prize, the 10-inch, the Mega Mando and Grogu Funko Pop
Holy cow.
figure. This is it. Ooh, so many people are eligible to win. I can't wait to see who wins.
All right. The winner is... Oh, it is Tracy at Tracy EZ. Tracy2EZ.
Heck yeah. Congratulations. Oh, wow. This is exciting. We're giving away a lot of stuff. So if you are those 6 people, we need to know your mailing address. We'll be reaching out to you, but you can reach out to us. Give us your mailing address. Either DM us on Twitter, that's at PHQ, or go to our Facebook page and give us a message, facebook.com/PHQ. Or if you'd prefer to send an email, it's hello@doublepmedia.com. Now, if you aren't one of those 6 names that we just listed, and actually my math is wrong, it's one of the 7 names we just listed. Hey, a lot of people have prizes where they can choose A or B. If you're interested in one of the prizes they haven't chosen yet, please send us your mailing address at PHQ on Twitter and Instagram, facebook.com/PHQ. Catfish, there's no way we can follow this, but hey, let's try to do it with our segments. What is our Gregorable moment for this final episode? The rescue.
Whew. You listed them out. This is going to be a no-brainer. Obviously, it's going to be the you're not crying, I'm not crying, you're crying, I am crying. But let's go through them.
Yeah.
The 3 I noted is the drugged up and in shackles Grogu, Boy George grew. When he was reaching towards the screen, I think we didn't talk about that one.
That was a great moment.
To connect with Luke. But then touching Mando's face, that's going to have to be the Gregorable moment of the episode, without a doubt. Well, of the season, of the series.
Listen, I'm still going Grogu in shackles. That's the best.
Drug Grogu is your favorite Grogu.
All right, what is our Mandalicious line of the episode?
All right, well, we talked about him already. It's all in the bar scenes. Well, isn't that the quack to calling the stifling slimy?
Oh.
The my father's armor, your father or your donor.
Ouch.
I've heard your voice thousands of times. Mine might be the last one you hear. And Mandalore, the Empire turned that planet to glass. What is your Mandalicious line of the week?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's factually correct, and I don't know how insulting it truly is, but I'm going to go with your father or your donor. Oh, snap. Is that really an insult? He wasn't, though. He treated me like a dad. Hey, come on.
Essentially, they're saying you're not a person. You're just a thing.
Oh,
I think that is kind of a diss, but it's not. It's not as good as saying that your planet is basically dust right now. So I'm going to go with the Empire turned that planet to glass.
hell yeah. Wow. Okay, listeners, do you have a Gregorious moment that you love the best? Do you have a Mandalicious line that you are upset that we didn't mention? Once again, at Double PHQ, we're here for you, our double L's. Hey, Catfish, this is a big grief beef to end the season, and this podcast is going so long, we're still going to get to Nephew Paul. We've still got so much. But hey, let's get to it now. Last year, we always talked about, well, at the end of the Mandalorian season, let's see where it would rank in our Star Wars ranking. Where, if it was a film, would it rank below Return of the Jedi? What would it do? Would the Mando, if it was a movie, would you have it ranked above Return of the Jedi, below Return of the Jedi? We always talked about doing it, but because our podcasts are so long, we never actually did it. But now, you know what? To heck with it. Let's go. Let's try. Let's do it. Let's make this podcast 3 hours long. Do you have a ranking of where Mando would go in your Star Wars rankings of movies?
I feel like that the Mandalorian gets a leg up.
Okay.
Because none of the movies have been able to, have had this much screen time to really develop all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So because of that, I think I'm going to have to put it, I'm going to cheat and go off the board and say, since, that I'm going to call each trilogy its own kind of story.
Okay, sure.
And so I'm going to say the first set, which is, episodes 4, 5, and 6.
The original trilogy?
I'm going to put that first, the original.
Okay.
Then I'm going to put The Mandalorian.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put the recent sets.
The sequel.
Episodes 7, 8, and 9.
Okay.
Then I'm going to put a bunch of Star Wars shows that I haven't seen. And then the Christmas special.
Oh, no.
And then the prequel trilogy.
Oh, George Lucas is turning over in his billions. That is cold, Catfish. But Catfish, that's a very high ranking, right below the original trilogy. That's the dang
I'm gonna
good.
do
yeah.
it. I think it's amazing. I think it's they're telling a great story. It is so much fun. Yeah, I'm going to say it's great. And I'm also going to add here, because you just mentioned about George Lucas. Has anybody ever sold something for $4 billion and gotten ripped off?
Yeah, that is a great question. Well, he got Disney stock too, so maybe that value has gone up since he sold it. Who knows, man? Great question. All right, Catfish, I made my list, and my list constantly changes, but I've made my list, and this is where it is today, and I decided to give it a new setting, meaning that if I were sitting in my house and flipping around the cable TV, and I still have cable TV, old man Bubba, and I was like, came to one of these movies on TNT, like they're always on TNT. If I suddenly saw one on TNT, how likely was I to stop and watch? And admittedly, I would be likely to stop and watch all of them. But I was like, which ones would I be most excited about stopping and watching? And so I still have Empire number 1, A New Hope number 2, Revenge of the Sith, Catfish, you can groan if you want to. Revenge of the Sith, I just have something about that film I love. 3 for me. The Force Awakens, 4 for me. Return of the Jedi has fallen to 5th for me. I have Mando right there, right in the middle at the 6th spot. Then, as in a shock, I put Rogue One at 7 and Solo at 8. It feels a shock because I'm not sure they should be there, but they are kind of enjoyable watches. They are a Sunday afternoon. They're on TNT. Sure, okay, this looks pretty good. Then in a tied spot for 9th, I have The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. I think they both have issues that I really don't like. They both have really good moments that I think people overlook when people who don't like those particular films look at them. I'm like, well, look at all the great stuff you're missing. But either way, I have them tied for me. Then at 11, I have Attack of the Clones, which honestly is a worse movie, but there's something watchable about Attack of the Clones. It moves. It isn't lethargic like my last place movie, The Phantom Menace. The one that's supposed to start it all for Star Wars fans, to me, that is still in the bottom. So I put Mando right in the middle. Why? It is longer. It is so much more content. It is very consistent. There was just something about the highs of the movies, which I currently have ranked above it. Still give me a bit more juice. Give me a bit more thrill. than Mando does. But Mando, it's incredible. We are so lucky to have it. So right in the middle, hopefully nobody's offended by these rankings. Or if you are, spread the word and yell and tell people they shouldn't listen to this podcast so we can get our word out there. There's no such thing as bad publicity.
I completely agree.
Before we get to the wonderful takes of Nephew Paul, we're going to end this podcast the way we end every podcast. It's our good grief of the week. That is a thing where we look at the world, we look at Star Wars, we look at Mandalorian, and pick something positive to end the show on. Do you have a good grief for this week?
My good grief for this week is that I am off for the next 2 weeks from work.
Oh, man, hell yeah.
And I need it. Bubba, I can't even tell you, I don't know what is going on with me. Either I'm getting old or I'm just massively depressed because of this whole, what life has been for the last year. I did not only not get a Christmas tree this year.
Whoa.
I didn't put anything outside.
Whoa.
I didn't put anything up inside.
Whoa.
I am full bah humbug over here. And I am hoping that the imminent arrival of the puppy brings some joy back to my really sad and low energy life.
Oh, man, Catfish, we should have put your name in the drawing. You could get one of these Phantom Menace figures that you love so much. All right,
What about you, Bubba?
Yeah. My good grief of the week is that we love talking to you. We love enjoying this great property with you and talking this fun with you. And so, hey, listeners, you are my good grief of the week. You guys are so good and so generous. And when we beg you for feedback, you give it to us. And that keeps us going. That keeps us excited. And it's going to be a long 11 months, but at the same time, it could just go by in an instant. And so I can't wait to be back talking Mandalorian with all our followers.
Oh, man. Yes, I need it too. It's going to be a very dark period for me.
For everybody here at Double P Media, my name's Bubba. You can write to me on Twitter at Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on Twitter.
And my name is Catfish. You can hit me up at CJGman67 on Twitter. Hit up the mothership at Double PHQ on Twitter. And I guess it's going to be an entire year before you hear from us next on
Nephew Paul.
Wheeze the Juice.
It was awesome. I felt super excited. I thought it was really cool. And, the de-aging effects really did work a lot. There were a few times when I thought it looked a little unrealistic, but mostly it looked super Luke accurate. My favorite part, I liked it when Luke Skywalker appeared and he totally kicked those droids' butts. I kind of liked that side kill when he forced a droid into another droid. That was cool. I noticed that Luke Skywalker kind of seemed a bit, what's the word? He didn't seem that chill, to be honest. He kind of just went in there and he was like, may the Force be with you. I mean, I don't know if he was only doing that because he was in a rough time or something, but I thought he would be a little bit more eccentric for this new student. I don't really know what was happening. Maybe this is showing him going deeper and deeper to the moment when he kills Kylo Ren. Well, almost kills Kylo Ren. Here's one thing I was wondering. Why didn't we see R2 in the X-Wing? Did he have, R2 actually in the X-Wing with him? Or what if they bring back Mandalorian a few years later so he could save Grogu from Kylo Ren? What if after the temple burned, what if some Jedi, just someone, what if, a random character from, do you know the Rise of Kylo Ren comic?
Tell me about it.
So the story basically is about Kylo Ren after his Jedi temple stuff, and there were 3 Jedi who escaped, who were on another planet while it happened. One of the dudes kind of looked like Professor X from the X-Men series because he was bald and was in a wheelchair. Another dude sucked at everything and was jealous of Kylo Ren. And a third dude, well, he didn't really appear in that much, but he was basically Kylo Ren's best friend. And Kylo Ren joins a group that Snoke told him to join called the Knights of Ren. And the Knights of Ren are led, and he hasn't had the name Kylo Ren yet, And the Knights of Ren, oh, and also I heard all this on YouTube. The Knights of Ren are led by this dude named Ren. And basically what Ren says is that the way you join the Knights of Ren is by doing some weird cult crap and killing somebody who has strong ties to your past. So Kylo Ren decides, I could kill Master Skywalker, but that seems kind of difficult and I really want to join this group. What if I killed those 3 other dudes? So he goes to this ancient Jedi planet, if I'm getting the details right. He fights them, and then he loses, so then he goes to another place. He meets with Snoke, and Snoke is like, bruh. So then they go to another planet. He kills all 3 of... No, actually, he doesn't kill one of them. I remember the 3rd dude, who is an alien, he lived, but he killed the other 2 people. So maybe that guy could have saved Grogu. Well, I mean, that would be assuming that Grogu survived. But if Grogu were to survive, he could have saved Grogu after that. Be the Book of Boba Fett. I noticed that they like to release Star Wars movies around the holiday time, and it's being released in December, so maybe it could be a movie. It's more likely a TV show. What if it's the next season of Mandalorian? Some people are saying this could just be a book with a lot of marketing, but I don't think it's going to be a book because that would be a bit redundant to market a book with all of that. I mean, not a lot of people read the Star Wars books. Half of them are children who are too inexperienced to read. My favorite character was Boba Fett because he was awesome and the most best at combat. Least favorite, I didn't really like the frog lady that much. I thought she was a bit rude to Mando when she basically ditched him when he was trying to fix the ship and went to go take a bath. This is my impression of Frog Lady. Well, I care so much about my children that I'm going to let this baby eat them in front of my face. And not only that, but I'm going to go take a bath. Yeah, I'm going to take a bath while my Uber driver is trying to fix the thing. Oh no, I'm not going to help him. Oh yeah, I'm just going to take a bath. All right, Space Mando Uber, fix this ship for me. Jacuzzi.